Hey, what's up, y'all? Stonercast, episode 10. Man, we just wanted to take a moment before this episode starts to thank you, really, from the bottom of our hearts. Hitting double digits on this podcast is a huge milestone for us, and it's only possible because of you.
Yes, absolutely. Seriously, the support has been unreal. Every listen, every comment, every fan question, it keeps this thing rolling. You've all helped us build something really special here in Columbus.
And, while we're really proud of the first 10 episodes, I'm more excited for what's to come. We've got more guests, bigger stories, you know, even more love for the Clingstones. And we just wanted to take a moment before we get into episode 10, Magnolia Heat, Landon Harper's journey, to thank you all for being a part of this journey. Um, you know, as my favorite college football coach, Dabo Sweeney, says, the best is yet to come. And that's truly our mantra with Stonercast. We've got more coming for you guys. Thank you so much for the likes, the subscribes, the shares. And, if you haven't done that already, do it now. Take a moment. Like each of our social media pages, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Join the Stonercast page. And on YouTube, go on, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell button so that you know when an episode of ours goes live. Episode 10, Magnolia Heat with Clingstones pitcher Landon Harper's coming up. But again, thank you guys so much for your love and your support of this podcast. We could not have done this without you. And of course, Dave, my buddy, man, you've been a rock star throughout this. And thank you so much. I know how much this podcast means to you. And our friendship has been incredible, has an incredible impact on my life. Thank you so much for being there.
Thank you too, Ricky. It's had a great impact on my life too. The Clean Stones brought us together as friends, and it brought a bunch of us together as friends. And I think we're gonna have even more of that come 2026. I cannot wait for the season.
For sure. So, episode 10, Magnolia Heat, really good episode. Y'all enjoy it. Go
Thanks,
Stones.
guys. Go Stones.
Welcome to Stonercast, your official deep dive into Columbus Clingstones baseball. As the AA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves, the Clingstones are building the future of baseball in the A, and we're here to bring you closer to it all. Get the inside look at what makes this team and this community so special. This is Stonercast. Here's your hosts, Ricky and Dave.
Welcome into Stonercast, guys. We are so glad that you're here. We are building episode after episode. They keep getting better. And as we lead all the way through the rest of this offseason and into next season, they're just going to get better. So, as always, we want to encourage you, look down there, mash those buttons, like, subscribe, and share. That way, your friends, maybe even some of your enemies know that, hey, the Clingstones are being talked about, not just during baseball season. So, we've got a great guest today. I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Dave Norris, all the way from Pell City, Alabama. Dave, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Ricky? Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Man, I think we finally got him, and I think we've got a guest today that people are really going to be excited to hear from. So, we've had some bangers already. They're going to keep getting better. And this is evidence that we're improving. We're going up the line, not down the line. So again, like, subscribe, and share. Send us an email. Send us messages on social media. Let us know if we absolutely suck. Let us know if you enjoy the episodes. Whatever it is, let us know. Talk to us, and we will respond as quickly as possible. And thank you for your time to message us. So, fan submitted questions can always be emailed to thestonercastshow@gmail.com, or you can comment on the episode announcements on our social media channels with the questions that you'd like to ask. Those will be coming up a little bit later. So, but for now, man, again, I am so excited to welcome this guest to Stonercast. Please welcome Clingstones pitcher Landon Harper. Landon, thank you for joining us.
Hey, how are y'all? Excited
Hey,
to be here for sure.
we greatly appreciate you joining us, man.
Yes, sir. And I'm excited that y'all, hit me up and gave me the opportunity to do this. So
Hey, I think that you were on the list of the top few that we definitely wanted to have on. I mean, we will talk to any of the players, but going into this thing, Dave and I had a kind of a wish list of players, and you were right there at the top. So we're
well, I really
thrilled that
appreciate
you
it.
were here with us. So
I really appreciate it. So
we're going to do this like our typical show. We're going to ask Landon. We've got our main interview, and then we're going to go into some fan questions. Then we'll go into our almost famous lightning round questions, where we'll put Landon on the hot spot and get some good answers from him. Landon, we'll go ahead and kick things off. You were a fan favorite here this year, and we're thrilled to be able to talk to you about your career, life, and what you've been doing in the off season. But before we go there, just let our fans know what you thought about Columbus, what you thought about the stadium, the city, and then of course the fan base that showed up and showed out for you guys all season.
I mean, honestly, I don't even know where to start. But there's so many things I could say. I mean, there was everything far from negative. I mean, Columbus was, everything I thought it was going to be and more. I mean, it was, a big city. I didn't even think Columbus was that big until I got there and went and looked around and stuff. And, obviously going up to the field, I was like, wow, compared to the one in Mississippi, I hate to say it, but, because I'm from Mississippi, but it was a lot better. And the fan base was, I mean, 1,000 times better. Whenever we had that first week and to get everything started, just being able to hear everybody do the chop when it got crunch time and we needed to win the game, man, I felt like I was, an Atlanta Brave for a second, and it was awesome. I felt like I was in the stadium with everybody, only being an hour and I think it's like 30 minutes away
Yeah.
from Atlanta. People showed up and showed out, and it was awesome to see. And it was like, wow, I don't even want to leave here, even though that's the goal, is to leave every place you go to. But it was just that special, and I really enjoyed my time being there. And the city was really good. There's a lot of great places to eat, hang out, and we were right there beside everything. So it was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome to hear from
Mm.
fans that I'm a season ticket holder. Dave is taking the plunge and bought season tickets for next season. We show up to those games, and it's our hope that you guys are really enjoying yourself in the city that we've called home. Myself have called Columbus home my entire life, so I'm glad to know that you enjoyed it. You had a really unique year with the Clingstones. You started 14 games, and you came out of the bullpen 12 times.
Mhm.
How do you adjust between those two roles? And is your preparation different when you know you're going to start versus knowing you will be coming out of the pen?
I would say, for me, like my mindset always is to get the first guy out, and then worry about the next guy when he comes up the bat. Because you always, for me, being that hybrid kind of role and being out of the pen and as a starter, you can't really worry about, I got this many more innings to pitch. I need to pitch this amount of innings. I need to throw this amount of pitches. Blah blah blah. It's really just about how can I get this guy out who's up at the plate at the moment, and how can I, execute what I need to execute to get this guy out and let my defense work behind me, not try to just strike everybody out, because that's not the type of guy I am. Even though I did have a little bit more success than I have had in the past with striking people out, which I think that kind of played into my mindset of not trying to strike everybody out, and it really helped me a lot for just going up there with the mindset of getting this guy out, getting strike one, even dumbing it down to that, is getting strike one, getting strike two, and then, doing, or even if they swing at the first pitch and get out, that's even better for me, and that was kind of my mindset going into it, and that's kind of, I think, why I was able to have success in the bullpen, coming out of the bullpen, and starting the game. Obviously, there's a little bit different physical um, things that go into it. Obviously, when I'm starting the game, I'm the first person to go out there, and it's 0-0 at all times whenever you go out there and start a game. Whenever you come out of the pen, you never know. It might be a 1-2 ball game. It might be a 9-1 ball game. You never know. But regardless, the way I like to think about it, regardless if the score is 9-1 or 1-2, I want to go out there and get the first guy out. And after I release the ball, I only can control what I can control. After I release the ball, things happen after that I can't control, and that's what I try to go up there and do every single outing. Every time I pitch is go up there and get out one, get strike one. So
You've definitely got that Mike Steve mentality. In our interview with him, he mentioned the control, which you can control quite a bit. You just said that a couple of times. So you definitely, Coach Steve definitely wore off on you a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I love Steve. He was a great pitching coach to me when I was there, and he's also a very simple pitching coach. And he's
Yeah.
like, go out there and get strike one. And when you go look, and you don't even really have to look at the analytics, but when you do go look at the analytics and you go out there and you get strike one, a lot of more good things happen whenever you do that. And that's why I think me and Steve are able to get along very well and do things kind of in sync, and just be able to work on things together that would help me in the long run. And I really had a great time with Steve. So
Awesome.
Landon, you were drafted in 2022. With the Braves organization being long known for developing pitchers, how exciting was it for you when you learned that they had drafted you?
it was very I had a skewed emotions, honestly. I didn't think at the time I was gonna get drafted. And
Mhm.
it kind of just they kind of just put me on the board without calling me at first. They didn't, I didn't have anybody call me and be like, "Hey, we're gonna draft you in the 14th round." They just threw me up on the board, and then I got a call from the Braves, and they were like, "Hey, we want to take you. We drafted you here because we think, you'll be a good fit with the Braves." And then that's how it kind of started with me and the Braves. And obviously, being from Mississippi, there's not many teams close, MLB teams close, besides like Texas Rangers and the Braves. And obviously, I had the Mississippi Braves growing up, and to me, that was our big league team that I got to go travel and watch all the time. So I've always been a Braves fan, and it was definitely very exciting. And especially once I got into everything and got over there to spring training, it just, my love grew for the Braves even more. And I love the Braves, and hopefully I can stay with them for as long as possible.
So currently, which pitch in your arsenal do you feel most confident in right now? And is there one that maybe you're working on trying to sharpen, make it a little bit better?
I would say this might be like, a little too simple, but my favorite pitch is the four seam, and I feel like that is definitely my most confident pitch. And I would say I can throw in the cutter if I wanted to. The cutter is a really good pitch for me. But as far as like working on pitches, I started working on a curveball and a splitter the past 2 years, or past year and a half, somewhere around there. And they have really turned out to be, two of my best pitches, honestly, when I can use them anytime I want. And I have six pitches, so I can kind of just pick and choose of what I want. But a lot of my pitches I like a lot, and there's not really one that I like more than the other. But I
Mm.
do like using the fastball, I would say, because I'm not a very hard throwing guy, so people don't expect me to go up there and throw a lot of fastballs. So when I do, and I throw more than they think, I usually have a good bit of success because my fastball isn't, bad. So whenever I'm up there to go up there and dominate with the fastball, that's usually when I have really good outings, and it usually pans out pretty well for me. So
Landon, you were a pretty good hitter in high school. In the 26 games of your senior season, you hit 325, had 25 hits, with nearly half of those being extra base hits that helped result in a fantastic 1.046 OPS. And you had 17 RBI and 26 runs scored. You're clearly not uncomfortable in the batter's box. If Landon Harper wasn't a pitcher, what position would he play?
Well, in high school, I was a shortstop ever since my freshman year. I I got a scholarship to go to JUCO to be a dual
Mhm.
guy, to kind of be, well, mainly I was mainly going to be a position player and hit in JUCO. I wasn't really going to pitch any. Unfortunately, COVID happened or whatever. But before COVID happened, I did hit. I didn't really pitch at all. I think I might have pitched one time in the fall, like couple innings, maybe like 2 innings. I wasn't really into pitching at that moment, and the following year in 2020 the fall, or 2021 the fall. No, I think it was 2020 the fall. We were playing some games in JUCO, and I was doing in and out. I started playing short and third at Pearl River Community College, and we had some scouts there because we had a really good team, and really good players that were out there, and who went. I think we had like 14 to 16 guys go D1, and
Wow.
yeah, in JUCO, and it was a pretty cool moment that we had, and I started throwing the ball and in and out. It's where you do your little routine ground balls and stuff before the game. You play a game, and I started throwing the ball across the infield at third, and there was this White Sox scout that came up to my coach, Michael Avalon, who's still there, and he was like, "That guy's got a good arm. Can he hit?" And he was like, "He can't hit," and he was telling me I couldn't hit or whatever, which he always, Michael Avalon, he was always sat us down and told us the truth. He wasn't at that moment. I just had some guys in front of me that were just really good at hitting, so I didn't really get opportunities there, and and I wasn't doing as great as I should have been. And he was like, "Look, I want you to keep playing the position and stuff, but I want you to kind of focus on pitching a good bit too." And I started focusing on pitching, ended up throwing hard and being our closer. And I think it was the 2021 spring season. And we had a great season. I ended up getting a good scholarship to Southern Miss. And that's kind of where my pitching really began, was the end of spring of 2021, and on to Southern Miss to pitch and be the closer there.
No.
And that's kind of where I led up to be named the not really named the closer, but when it came type situations, that's when I would go in the game at Southern Miss, and I threw a lot of innings out of the bullpen there. And um, fortunately, I was able to get do good enough to get drafted by the Braves. But a little backtrack to 2021 in the fall, or yeah, 2021 fall, before the 2022 season. I had a little arm problems, and I didn't get to pitch any in front of Southern Miss, or for Southern Miss, in the fall. You play a couple games, scrimmages and stuff, so I didn't pitch at all. Southern Miss didn't really know what to expect out of me. They only seen me in JUCO that one year, and I just became really, like, mainly a pitcher. And it came springtime. I hadn't pitched yet, and they threw me out there into a scrimmage game that we had, and I started doing really well. Was throwing really hard. My velo was back, to where it was normally, and that's kind of where I took over the role of being the closer for Southern Miss. And then the
Mhm.
2022 season happened. We hosted we hosted a regionals. Ended up beating LSU in 3 games. Um, Went on to host the super regional against Ole Miss. Unfortunately, they got the best of us, and went on to win the World Series. But we had a great team, a great pitching staff. We had 5 bullpen arms get drafted that year, and I was fortunate to be one of them. And I'm even more fortunate for it to be the Braves. So
Well, it sounds like
So
you're a pretty good athlete in high school. Did you ever did you play any other sports?
I did. I played football up until I had some arm problems in high school as a sophomore in high school. I stopped pitching after my sophomore year in high school because I hyperextended my elbow and kind of broke it or whatever and fractured it or whatever. And so I just stopped pitching. I was like 88, 90 as a sophomore in high school. And that's
Wow.
kind of, I think my problem was. Um, my problem was I was a little too skinny to be throwing that hard. And, I just stopped pitching after that. And I went mainly just shortstop because I played shortstop since my freshman year. And on from there, I played football. I played soccer. I was the goalie in soccer, and I had a really good year in soccer. I loved playing multiple sports. If I could have played basketball, I would have. But soccer and basketball didn't correlate, and we already had a good basketball team. And I was like, you know what, I'll just go play soccer and see if I can play soccer a little bit. And I didn't start playing soccer till like my sophomore junior year because I didn't even know really if I was capable of going out there and playing soccer. And my brother was like, "Look, let's go out there. They need a goalie and they need a defender." And my brother was like, "He's going to be a defender if we go out there and make it or whatever." And they were kind of already through tryouts and stuff, but they needed some people, and we were like, "All right, let's go. Let's see if they want us out there, we'll go out there." And we went out there like a week before. Well, I don't even think we were out there a week before our first game. I think we were like 2 days before our first game, first soccer game, and we went out there and did well. We ended up beating our rivals the first game of the season, and on from there, I was like, I like this, and I kept on playing, and I think that's a lot of where a lot of my athleticism comes from is playing multiple sports, and I don't think in high school holding yourself to one sport is a good idea. It's not a I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing for people to do that, people that do it, but I think it goes a long ways in baseball for me, and I think it helps me go a long way, even in pitching. Even when I need to make a play or something, do something, that isn't something that a pitcher would normally do. I think that helps me a long way. So,
All right, Landon, this is a two-part question. You were promoted from Rome to Mississippi in May of 2024.
mhm,
Them Braves played in Pearl, which is a little over an hour's drive from your hometown of Meridian.
mhm.
How cool was that for you to be playing so close to where everything began for you?
Yeah, it was so cool. My all my friends and family, they got to come almost every week. And it was only an hour and I think 20 minutes away. So especially my mom and my dad, they would be up there every chance they had, being that close and having everybody there. I think at the moment that Pearl we didn't have a lot of fans coming to the game, so it was kind of cool, to see. I could definitely pick out my family and friends automatically as soon as I go out on the field, because there wasn't a lot of people there. But it was definitely a cool moment for them to to be able to watch me because they don't get to watch me as much, anymore, being far away, and they have stuff to do too, and just it was definitely a good moment to have and a good year to have in front of my family and friends for sure.
So, as we all know, the 2024 season would be the last season in Mississippi for the Braves.
Mhm.
Before the team moved to Columbus and rebranded the Clingstones, did that sting just a little bit? Leaving, being so close to home, and then hearing, oh yeah, we're heading east to Georgia, to Columbus, Georgia, and we're going to rebrand ourselves as the Clingstones.
Yeah, it definitely, it definitely it definitely stung a little bit. I mean, just knowing that my family got to come to every and friends, they got to come to a lot of the games. Um, it definitely was like, this is gonna suck, but in the long run, thinking about it deeply, um, we just it was going downhill over there in Pearl. Like there was no fans. It was no like it just felt really dead out there, and that's what I like playing for. I like playing for the fans, and I like being out there and and competing in front of a lot of people. That's what I really want to do, and I knew it was time, to leave, and I was very I was very glad that they called me up to go up there and play for the rest of the year up there because if not, I wouldn't have got to have those moments with my family and friends and stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And but it was definitely bittersweet. I was glad to move though too. Glad to get in front of a fan base who really cares about the game and really wants to be there for the players and cheers them on. And even give us. We got snack bags when we go to road trips. Like that was something awesome. I don't think anybody else does that. I don't know for sure, but it was definitely a special thing that happened in Columbus, and I was definitely glad to be moved. But I wasn't at the same time. But once I got in Columbus, I was like, this is a great place to be.
So this podcast was actually born out of two fan Facebook groups for the Clingstones, Columbus
Okay.
Clingstones fans and the Stoners. And I created Columbus Clingstones fans. Dave created the Stoners, and those snap bags, those were a result of our groups coming together and wanting to do something nice for the players, and it came together beautifully. And I know the players were really appreciative. We've heard rave reviews about them. So this just and it shows. And in Columbus may in 20 years end up being not having a lot of fans in the stands, but for right now, I have not spoken to anybody that said, "Oh, man, those games suck." I hated being out there. So everybody has been just absolutely thrilled with the product they've seen on the field, the stadium, and everything else. So we are,
I think that's what makes it special.
Yeah, it is. And Columbus has a long history with baseball as well. We had some minor league teams back in the day. We had an Indians affiliate, the Astros affiliate, and baseball in Columbus goes back a long time, but never has it been done on this level, and never has it been done with a Braves team. And so that kind of ties it all together, I think.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure.
Bob Gibson started his professional career in Columbus in 1957.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yep.
Have you seen the wall in the stadium that shows all the players that have played it in that park?
It's really impressive.
I think I've seen a couple, but I don't think I've seen.
But yeah, there's a wall right next to the bullpen burger that's got all the names, little baseballs with all the names of pro players that have played at Golden Park is what it was before. And I mean, everybody from John Smoltz,
Babe Ruth,
Aaron, Babe Ruth. It's Thomas. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, bunch of people, whole bunch of people.
Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, is actually from Columbus.
Yep.
He's born and raised here.
Okay.
And went to high school here.
Yep. I played Little League ball with him and went to Columbus High School with him.
That's
Landon,
really cool.
As you were saying earlier, you played at Pearl River Community College 2 years, and then you transferred to Southern Miss. There you played under a really good head coach named Scott Berry and a pitching coach named Christian Ostrander, who was promoted to head coach after Coach Berry retired. What were the biggest ways they helped you in the transition from the previous college to Southern Miss?
Yeah, when I got to Southern Miss, or before, even in JUCO, that's kind of where I got my mindset from was in JUCO. Michael Avalon did a really good job of getting us in the mindset of, we want to compete, we want to win every, it doesn't matter who we're playing, we want to go out there and win, and we want to put 50 on them. It doesn't matter what happens, and even on the pitching side of it, Michael Avalon, he's a pitching guy, and he was like, throw strikes. That's all you need to do is throw strikes, and your stuff is good. That's all he would always tell me that, like, be confident, go up there and throw strikes, and especially that translated a lot whenever I got to Southern Miss with Scott Berry and Christian Ostrander. Coach Oz, he's a very good pitching coach, and he would install just nothing but confidence in me. Stuff that I already had, he would give me that edge even more, and he would make me go out there with the utmost confidence, and that would help a lot, and I would go up there and I would never walk anybody because I was like, here, hit it. I didn't really care. You're either gonna hit it over the fence or you're gonna get out, one or the other. And I think that went a long way, and I think it translated to pro ball, which has, so far I've been successful, I believe, and I give those guys all the credit for that, and they really helped me a lot and go a long way, especially when I ended up being the closer at Southern Miss. I think that's big for a closer to come in and throw strikes as soon as you get in the game. You can't really afford to walk anybody or start getting deep in counts. That's when people start hitting balls hard and hitting over the fence, and even at Southern Miss, I only had two pitches. I was a fastball I was a four-seam slider guy, and and just to have that confidence with those two pitches was very helpful, and it went a long way. So
You don't have time to settle in. Everybody else is settled in. You got to go out there
yeah,
and
exactly.
pick up where the other guy left off, literally.
Mhm.
So this season, we want to kind of go in the mindset of a pitcher here and some of the struggles you guys deal with. You pitched in several games this season where you were pretty dominant on the mound, but the guys couldn't generate any run support for you. How do you keep your composure when everything seems to be clicking for you, but you aren't able to add a W on the stat line? I know that's got to be
Well,
frustrating for a competitor.
it definitely is, it definitely is, you would love to have, run support anytime that you can get it. Um, but at the same time, like I said, you got to go up there and control what you can control. You can't once you release the ball, you can't control what happens after that. If the defense makes an error or they can't score runs, that's not things I can control, and I try to just not keep my mind on that, and or even even not let it try to to fuel me, like get us back in here quicker. Let me go out there and get three outs quick as I can and get our hitters back in there and let them see if they can get a rhythm going. And it's kind of, I think, that's kind of what helped me is, even though they didn't score runs for me sometimes, I think going through that is going to help me in the long run, and not get frustrated at whenever it happens again, and because it's always going to happen. It's not the first time and it's not the last, that's for sure. And going up there and just trying to control what I can control. I can control what I do before or how I prepare or what I do after, but I can't control once I release the ball. I can't control what happens. Obviously, I've had my own bad outings to where, my stuff isn't there and people are hitting it, Um, but at that point, like I said, once I release the ball, I can only control what I can control. After that, get to work, do what I need to do to get better, and go out there and have a better outing than before. And that's what I always try to do, and I think it helps. So
Landon, I'm going to present a scenario for you. The number one high school pitching prospect in the country is being bombarded with offers from D1 schools, but has also been followed for 2 years by 15 major league scouts who are also pining for him. He and his family can't decide if he should take a college offer or go into the draft. If they reach out to Landon Harper for advice, what is the number one piece of advice you would give this young man?
yeah, I would say really think hard about it. You can't really go wrong. I don't think there's a bad decision in that. I
Mhm.
think there's a tougher decision on what school you would want to go to, and make sure you pick the right school if you were going to choose D1, or choose a college to go to. Um, Also on the other side of it, if you take the draft, you're obviously getting drafted. If you're the number one high school, pick or whatever, or the number one high school pitcher, you're going to get drafted pretty high, and obviously financially you'll do well financially, and you'll have all the things you need in pro ball to be successful. You'll have the most amount of opportunities. You'll have everything in front of your face is in pro ball. All the help you could possibly want is in pro ball. Anything you ask for, you could probably get it if you're the first, high school, the best high school pitcher, and you ended up getting drafted in the first round, second round, top 3, 4, 5 rounds. I would even go far to say the 6. Once you get into pro ball, I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to get into pro ball early because obviously pro ball has a lot to offer. And so does college, obviously a degree, you can get a degree and stuff, but nowadays they have to pay for it. And they have to pay for it. They pay for your school and they can help you go to school, and you have a lot of benefits to that, and you have a lot of help to go back to school while you're in pro ball. So, honestly, I wouldn't make a decision for him, but that's the kind of advice I would give him. I would just let him know, if I'm already, in the position that I'm in now, I would say, it's at the end of the day, it's your decision, but this is the pros and cons of both. And I would kind of give him the pros and cons of both. And I don't think going to college is a bad idea at all,
Mm,
and you obviously can. There's a lot of colleges that you can develop really well at, and that have a really good, staff to help you. And I think that would be, you know, a great option for him too. Obviously, if he's the best pitching high school pitcher in the country, he could go to one of the top schools in the country, and obviously they're going to have a lot to help him with that too. But it would definitely be a hard decision as it was for me, and I was going out of college. I could have went back to college for 2 years, and I chose pro ball. I wanted to go ahead and get in it as a 21-year-old and go ahead and, start my professional career cuz at the end of the day, you also can go to college, get hurt, and then you're not the best pitcher in the country. Once you get to college, everybody's really good, and same for pro ball too. But at least you're in the professional sport already, and they have a lot of people to help you, physical therapists, all this stuff that they can help you with and to get better at. And that's kind of what I would tell him, just give him the pros and cons of both. So
Landon, how would you describe the culture inside the Clingstones clubhouse this year, especially amongst maybe just the pitching staff? You guys have any you know moments where that you'll always remember, and are there any players or coaches that you're exceptionally close with?
yeah, I mean, Gabella, the manager, he's kind of sent me up to he's kind of called me up, been the manager to tell me that I'm going to the next level from every level I've been to, since I've been drafted. So me and him definitely, have a good relationship. And then Mike Steed, obviously he was the guy to tell me from Rome that I was going to Mississippi. And even when in Columbus, me and him really got close then, and we talked every single day, and we would sit down and talk about things that I could get better at every day, and how I could do this better or that better, and as far as like the clubhouse camaraderie was unreal. Obviously you got guys that get moved up and down and stuff and or whatever, but as far as of like the guys that were mainly there, we always were having a good time with each other. Nobody didn't get along. It was great atmosphere. And especially being in a new place in Columbus, I think the fans really made us even get closer with each other because we wanted to play good for y'all, and we wanted to play good for everybody that came to watch us, and we wanted to win. I think that's a big thing that goes down the line is really wanting to win. So
All right, one more question for you before we kick off the fan questions portion. I had several conversations with folks that sit around me where I sit in the stadium, and even just fans on the street around who's next, who's going to get called up next. And I mean, these conversations started in May, June. My answer was always Landon Harper. I thought multiple times that, I mean, that's how really good you were for Columbus this year. And I thought several times that, they're crazy if they're not calling him up. Um, I doubt we're going to hold on to you next season. If we do see you next season, I doubt we're going to hold on to you for long. I would imagine that you'll be headed off to Gwinnett pretty quick. But looking ahead, what goals are you setting for yourself as you continue to make the journey through AA and then into AAA? And what do you personally feel like you really need to improve on to finally get that call to Gwinnett?
Yeah, the goal is obviously to move up and do the best you can at each spot that you go, and to continue to move up. The goal is obviously to make it to the big leagues. That's the dream that I've always had as a kid. And for it to be with the Braves would be an even better. I couldn't even write it up, to be honest. And you know I my goals, as far as like wanting about how I'm gonna do, I always just want to do better than the year before. I can do something better every time. I'm not always gonna be perfect, but there's something I can do better. Even if it has to do with attitude or throwing strikes or walking people, whatever it is. I can always find something to get better at. And obviously, I would say my biggest thing that I need to get better at would be throwing harder. I would say that would be my main goal that I would like to do would be to throw harder. And because I don't throw as hard as I used to in at Southern Miss and at Pearl River, and I kind of want to get back to that and kind of figure out the things that I did then and kind of mash them with the stuff that I've learned in pro ball, and see where it takes me, and see the next level I can get to as far as like my competitiveness and my ability to throw, you know, this pitch in this situation. I think there's a lot of things, location, I do throw a lot of strikes, but obviously locations can be better, and it might make me better or get more strikeouts. I think I need, there's a lot of things I could sit here and say that I need to get better at, but um, the main one I would say would be definitely throw harder, and I think that would translate to striking more people out if I did start throwing harder. So that is definitely my main goal for sure.
All right, we're going to go into the fan submitted questions. Landon, you ready?
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, from Eric Murdog Murray, submitted via the Columbus Clingstones fan group on Facebook. Landon, what is your favorite pitch to throw?
I would say this past year, my favorite pitch to throw was probably the splitter because, it was definitely, I would say numbers wise, probably, or analytic wise, it was my best pitch. And I got to make some batters look goofy in the moment. So I think that was definitely my favorite one to throw because, they always, had a weird swing or didn't expect it to come. And I think that was definitely my favorite for sure.
I did see a couple times where you made a batter end up in the other batter's box, swung out of their britches. From Corey Wilkins, submitted via email at thestonercastshow@gmail.com. What is your favorite pitch sequence?
Okay, so if we're saying a lefty, I think I would like to go cutter in,
Mm,
fastball up, and then probably a splitter down if I was striking him out in 3 pitches. If that's what I was going, that would be my favorite sequence. And then to a righty, I would say I would go sinker down and in. If it's a strike, I'm gonna go. Probably I would like to go to. There's a number of pitches I would like to go to. I would probably
Just
go.
assume you're going to strike them out in 3 pitches.
If I was gonna strike him out in 3 pitches, I'd go slider off of that, and then for a strike, and then I'd probably go four seam up is what I'd probably do. Honestly, that's what I would, because they
Because
would
you want
probably for me they would expect me to go slider down and try to get a swing and miss, and I think I would go fastball up and get a swing and a miss. So.
especially if they didn't swing at that first pitch, you kind
Mhm.
of know they want to pitch up, so you
Mhm.
can make them swing and miss at that by throwing it
Oh yeah.
fast. All right, from Dan Ursery, from the Stoner Cast Facebook page. Did you always want to be a pitcher, or was it a coach that saw that skill in you while you were growing up?
Yeah, so that goes back to when I was in JUCO. I definitely wanted to be a hitter and an infielder.
Mhm.
In JUCO, I played short and third and hit and pitched a couple times. But Coach Avalon, Michael Avalon, who was my head coach at Pearl River, he definitely saw the pitching side in me for sure. He knew I had a really, really good arm, and he brought it out of me for sure. He showed me how to use my legs out of high school. I didn't really use my legs in high school to throw, and I was throwing hard in high school for a high school kid. So when I got there with him, and ended up turning into just a pitcher, or more of a pitcher than an infielder and a hitter. In that 21 season, he showed me how to use my legs, and on from there, dude, I fell in love with pitching. And from there, it was just the love that I fell in love with, and kept it going from there. So
All right, so there is one more fan question that did not make it on the Dave sheet today. That, was posted in our Facebook group by Cale Morgan. Cale is actually an employee with the Clingstones. He's an usher.
Okay.
His question on the Facebook page was, I want to know what was going through Harper's mind when Oscar Colas got that hit with 2 outs at the top of the 7th during the near perfect game.
Well, going into like the 5th inning, it's a 7-inning game, so I knew, that I had a chance to do something special. But it went back to the mindset of get this guy out, strike 1, strike 2, and it came out of the last batter, and I just wanted to execute. I didn't want to think about what was gonna, the perfect game or whatever. But he hit it. Honestly, when he hit it, he kind of like stuck his bat out there and kind of poked at it, and I thought I got him. I thought I had him, and then it was going in the air, and I was like, "Oh, he's got it!" And he jumped, and he just quite couldn't reach it enough, and I was like, "Well, it was a good. I still got to focus on getting this next guy out, because it's not over. It's not over now. This guy's on first base, but it was definitely something that built up in me that I was like, I can do something special, but." Once the guy got on first base, I still got to do my job and get strike 1, strike 2, and try to get this guy out without giving up any runs or or losing the game. I didn't want to get taken out of the game at the time. And I just really needed to get the next guy out. So.
And you got I think it was the first complete game.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
I think so.
Yeah, first complete game shutout maybe that was ever thrown in Clingstones history. So that's something you'll always be able to wear.
Right.
You'll have that honor. You'll
Oh,
be kind of etched in the concrete forever. So, all right.
Yeah, and I will
we're gonna-
forever be thankful for that too. So.
Well, and it's those things it's tough. I've never been in that position, so I can't even say how tough it is. And I would imagine it's tough. You've got something really special brewing. It happens, but for you to rebound, get the out, and get the win that day, it was that showed just how much control over your emotions that you have. So that's a trait that I think you definitely need to carry to Atlanta with you.
Yes, sir.
All right, lightning round questions. These are kind of fun questions, not anything serious, and we're
Okay.
gonna and just kind of first thing that comes to your mind thing when you hear the question.
Okay.
What's your hidden talent off the field that would surprise Clingstones fans?
My hidden talent. I would say that I'm pretty good at throwing left-handed. I think that would be my hidden talent. I can throw a football pretty far left-handed, and a baseball. So I would say definitely left-handed throwing is my hidden talent.
You can work on some maybe ambidextrous stuff. Get you one of those special.
I
glove
don't think I
games.
throw hard enough for that, but
Yeah.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool for sure.
All right. Which teammate of yours would win a locker room karaoke contest?
Oh, I would have to say, EJ Exposito. EJ Exposito he would definitely win it for sure.
He can
He's
sing.
a character for sure. I don't know about sing, but
He can sing.
I think he would win it out of. I don't think really a lot of guys in there. I don't know if they can sing very well, but I think EJ would definitely put on a show for sure and win it.
Got you. If you had to swap positions for one game, and we're going to go ahead and take shortstop out of the equation,
Okay.
what spot are you picking to play and why?
I think I would like to play the outfield because really anywhere in the outfield. Just because whenever we're out there shagging BP, tracking down the balls. I even had the opportunity. I robbed a ball this year of BP, actually off of Kevin Kilpatrick, the center fielder. I was just playing around, and I ran over there and I robbed him of a home run and during BP. And I think that'd be pretty cool. Robbing a home run or running down a ball, making a diving play. I think that would be so cool to do in the outfield. So that would definitely be the position I would want to play.
All right. Time for full honesty. Which Clingstones hitter has the best and worst walk-up song?
The best walk-up song, I would have to go with EJ Exposito again, for sure. Yeah. And then the worst, I would say Adam Zabrowski was the worst. He's not gonna like that answer at all, but I'm definitely saying his is the worst.
Gotcha. All right. Now it's time to award some superlatives. Teammate most likely, and these could be coaches too, most likely to appear on a reality show.
Ooh. Most likely to appear on a reality show. I'd honestly say there's probably a number. There's probably a couple of them. I would say I could see EJ being on there. Cal Conley, he could be one of those guys on there for sure. I could see Cal. I would go with Cal. Cal would definitely be in a reality TV show for sure.
You're not the first one to answer that question with Cal's name. All right. The Clingstones locker room clown.
Oh, locker room clown. I'm going. There's two of these, and I've already named both of them. But they are definitely EJ Exposito and Adam Zabrowski for sure. For sure, the two clowns up there are them two for sure. Oh, actually, I can change. I need to change that. Actually, I know who it is. It's definitely Ellison Joseph. Ellison Joseph is definitely. He's definitely a locker room clown for sure.
Gotcha.
He jokes around. He's hilarious. He's a hilarious guy. I love him to death.
All right, most likely to join the PGA if baseball doesn't work out.
I would say, most likely to join the PGA would be. I would have said it was Amos Willingham. Amos Willingham would definitely he would be the guy I would think about for sure.
All right.
He was out of the bullpen pitcher. So,
last one, best Clingstones uniform combo.
The Sunday. I gotta go with the Sunday. The peach top with the white pants. I think that was my favorite ones on Sunday for sure.
That's a good look for sure.
I like.
Oh yeah.
All right, Landon. Well, that's everything, man. Thank you so much. You were a great interview. I think you've got a. You're gonna when you do make it to Atlanta, I think you're gonna make the press pool pretty happy.
I hope so.
So we are, again, thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you for your efforts this season with the Clingstones. You were one of my favorite pitchers to watch. And I'm glad that we were able to nail you down for a few minutes to complete this interview. I think this episode will do really well. So
I hope so, and I am very blessed and thankful that y'all could have me on and do this. So, I enjoy it, and that's something I like to do. So.
Well, and it's always hard for us too saying goodbye to a player because it's like we can't say we'll see you next year because we don't know for sure if we will or not. Yeah. But we hope we see you, even if it's in Gwinnett. If we got to drive to Gwinnett to come see you, we hope to see you next year. We're going to be Dave and I will both be making some Gwinnett games next season. So if we don't see you in Columbus, we'll see you in Gwinnett.
Sounds good. I hope I do. I hope I get to see y'all. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with us. Dave, you got anything else?
No, I'm good. I appreciate you, Landon. Thank you very much, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for sure.
Enjoy the off season and the holidays.
Thank you. Y'all too.
Yes, sir.
Dave, man, another great interview. Landon is obviously a talented, super talented pitcher. I think he's got a long career ahead of him in baseball. Again, hopefully we see him for a game or two here. If not, we'll go check him out on Gwinnett next year. So
That's right.
it was a great interview. I knew from talking to Coach Steve that he'd be a good interview. So that's really it. That's it for tonight. This is we're working our way up to a dozen episodes, and it's unreal. The growth has been great. Fans participation and submitting questions has been great. And we're just going to ask you guys to look down there again, mash those buttons, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend that, Stonercast is a thing. We are talking about Clingstones baseball, even during the off season. So tell your enemies too. I don't care if you tell your enemies. We'll take those folks too. So thank you again so much for tuning in to Stonercast, and we will see you again real soon. As always, go Stones.
Go Stones.
Thanks for tuning in to Stonercast, your inside look into Columbus Clingstones baseball. Please like, subscribe, and share to stay connected as we bring you closer to the Stones.